So in this next video, I want to help you get to grips with each of the different features of the loom or the parts of the loom that will help you to discover your weaving style. So in this first video, we're going to talk about the Heddle bars, and then we're going to talk about the side frames, because it's these two components together that make this one of the best frame looms on the market. I'm going to start with the Heddle bars. So the double-sided Heddle bars, obviously, as I mentioned again and again, they have channels at the top, they have two sides. This is great actually for a number of reasons, but we'll start with the spacing of those channels. They are basically set up to allow you to explore the width of your warp setup, which will help you explore either tapestry weaving, which tends to be set up wider apart, or closer together, which tends to be favoring sort of hand loom weaving. So weaving is weaving, truthfully, and there are exceptions to the rule of how you can play around with contemporary textiles, because today everybody likes to experiment, including me. So I'm going to show you on this side here, we've got 3 different warps set up. This warp here is a finer yarn, so it's a 2/17 wool, merino wool. This is I think it's a Kilcara tweed, so it's much thicker, and it's probably something about 6 or 8 ends per inch. Now, if you don't understand this at this point, that's okay. This is something for you to learn and grow. But essentially, the thicker your warp thread, which are these two here, and the specific spacing of your frame loom, it will depend on those combinations on how narrow, how the set can be closer together or wider apart, and that will impact the outcome of your weaving. So this is set up so that you can set up a warp at 2, 4, 8, or 16 ends per inch. And again, there's an example here with the 2/17 wool, which is set up at 4 ends per inch. And if I, again, steal my weaving tool, so I said earlier the comb is probably the most versatile tool from that set you'd want. You could also get what I call the EPI counter, and that is what is an inch measure, and that inch measure enables you to work out the set of your warp. So if you don't know what it is, and you've got a generic loom or you've made a loom yourself, you could actually just work out from this measure what the spacing is like. You could also use a ruler. So I'm not saying you need this, but it's something that I have on my tool set because I think it's invaluable for trying to understand your yarns, because in hand weaving, or weaving specifically, there isn't a very commercial version of how thick yarns are. Unlike knitting, which has, it will recommend a needle size for any type of yarn you get and purchase commercially. Weaving yarns, you can weave with just about anything. It almost doesn't matter. So often you don't know what it is. So unless you can work it out, it just will make your life easier to know if you can work it out. So this is set up so that you can either set it up at 4 ends per inch. So if you can see that there's 4 of these warp threads in this space. And if I do that with this one, can you see that there are now 8? Oops, let me get that correct. So then there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I was to stop there, you could see that there are 8 ends in that inch, which is really great because you can start to experiment further. And how you set up a warp with either 4, 8, and then I'll show you 16 ends per inch in a minute, or actually doubling it up. I'll grab my scissors actually, and we'll start with a chunkier yarn. So this is a Kilcara tweed. The way you quickly set up a warp is that you tie it around the side of your loom so you can fit this in the channel. One of the other important things about the channels that we've designed is that they're really generous. So they're not only wide enough to fit different thicknesses of yarns, which will help you experiment, and we want you to experiment with your warp. So we want you to try the fine, we want you to try the thick, we want you to try the funky, whatever works for you. That's the name of the game. Paper yarns, wool, silk, linen, hair. I mean, you can try anything. So the channels being deep and wide enough to experiment, that's what you want. So now when you're setting up a warp, and again, I'm just going to set up a few warp threads, you want to start by making sure that you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm starting on the 11th. I've just done a double knot there. You want to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I was in the wrong slot. You want to make sure that you start off by being level and in the same alignment with the bottom as you are with the top. So now we have a warp set up with, where's my EPI counter? Again, 4 ends per inch. Now that's simple as can be. Then the way you might set up 8, because it's slightly different. So this is how you can double up so that you get 8 ends per inch. And I'm just going to leave one space. So now I've secured it in the same way. And if I just trim these ends, now I've secured it. What you're going to do, you're starting in the same starting point. You're making sure that you're meeting up at the top. You're going to hook over the top one, but what you're going to do is slide this bottom bit to the left. So you're actually making room so that you have 2 of them. Hold on, let's get that wound off. So you have it hooked over the top. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to slide it down, and actually, so you can see very clearly that there are actually now 2 in that same channel spacing. One is sitting more snugly on the left side, one is sitting more snugly on the right. So now you can see actually, when we compare them directly, this side has 8. And if we were to count these, that's 8 on this section, and that's 8 on that side. So you've already have 16 in the same sort of space. This one is set up at 4 ends per inch, and this is set up at 8 ends per inch, because we're really interested in 1 inch. This is actually 2 inches wide. So there you can see the 2 different ways that you would set up trying to get the maximum out of one face of the loom.